Everything was working. The crowds were responding. People were being healed. Entire regions were hearing the gospel and believing. By every visible measure, what Philip was doing in Samaria was exactly what God wanted. And then an angel showed up and told him to leave. Not to go somewhere bigger. Not to go somewhere with more people. Not to go to the next city with the next crowd waiting. Go to a desert road. Alone. If you have ever felt God pull you away from something that was clearly working, into something that made absolutely no sense, this video is for you. Welcome back to Scripture Power Stories. Today we're talking about why God sent Philip away from a revival to a desert road with one person. To understand this, we have to go to Acts chapter 8, beginning at verse 26. Philip was in Samaria and the results were undeniable. In Acts chapter 8, verses 6 through 8, crowds were paying close attention to what he said and did. Evil spirits were driven out. The paralyzed and lame were healed. And there was great joy in that city. Great joy. This was not a struggling ministry. This was not a season of doubt or confusion. This was open, visible, measurable fruit. And then, in verse 26, an angel of the Lord spoke to Philip. Go south to the road, the desert road, that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. That is all the instruction Philip received. Go south, desert road, Gaza direction. No explanation, no preview of what was waiting. No crowd, no revival, just a road in the middle of nowhere and a direction to walk toward it. And verse 27 says simply, so he started out. No argument, no negotiation, no asking God to clarify whether he was sure about this. Philip left the revival and started walking toward a desert road because God said to go. What happened next is one of the most quietly significant moments in the entire book of Acts. On that desert road, there was a man. He was an Ethiopian eunuch, a high official in charge of the entire treasury of the Queen of Ethiopia. He had been to Jerusalem to worship and was now on his way home, sitting in his chariot, reading aloud from the scroll of Isaiah the prophet. In Acts chapter 8, verse 29, the Spirit told Philip, go to that chariot and stay near it. Philip ran to the chariot. He heard the man reading from Isaiah chapter 53 and asked him, do you understand what you are reading? The man answered in verse 31, how can I, unless someone guides me? He invited Philip to come up and sit with him. The passage he was reading was Isaiah chapter 53, verses 7 and 8. The suffering servant, the one led like a sheep to the slaughter, the one whose life was taken from the earth. The Ethiopian eunuch looked at Philip and asked, tell me, please, who is the prophet talking about, himself or someone else? And Philip opened his mouth. Starting with that very passage of scripture, in Acts chapter 8, verse 35, Philip told him the good news about Jesus. One man, one chariot, one road in the desert, one question, and as they traveled down that road, they came to some water. The eunuch said, look, here is water. What can stand in the way of my being baptized? In Acts chapter 8, verses 38 and 39, the chariot stopped. Philip and the eunuch went down into the water together. Philip baptized him, and when they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord suddenly took Philip away. The Ethiopian eunuch went on his way rejoicing. And church history tells us that the gospel took root in Ethiopia from that single encounter on a desert road. One person, one conversation, one divine appointment that Philip nearly missed because it looked like a step backward from everything God had already been doing through him. If this is speaking to something you are navigating right now, comment the word appointed below. Because the desert road God is sending you to may carry more eternal weight than the crowd you just left. Here is the truth this story is trying to show you. God does not measure impact the way we do. We measure by crowds, by numbers, by visible results and growing momentum. And God sometimes measures by one person, sitting in a chariot on a desert road, holding a scroll they cannot understand, waiting for someone willing to lead the revival to come find them. Philip's obedience to go to that desert road did not just change one man's life. It carried the gospel into an entire nation. You cannot always see the weight of the assignment God is redirecting you toward. What looks like a reduction, a step sideways, a strange and inconvenient interruption of your momentum may be the most significant thing He has ever asked you to do. The desert road is not a demotion. It is a divine appointment in disguise. So let me give you 3 things to hold onto if God has been pulling you away from something fruitful into something that makes no sense right now. First, obey the redirection before you understand it. In Acts chapter 8, verse 26, the angel gave Philip a direction, not an explanation. Philip started out before he knew why. If you wait for God to explain the full picture before you move, you will miss the moment the chariot passes by. Take the step toward the desert road. The reason will reveal itself when you get there. Second, stay attentive on the road. In Acts chapter 8, verse 29, the Spirit gave Philip a second instruction only after he had already obeyed the first one. Go to the chariot. Philip heard that instruction because he was already on the road, already present, already moving. Obedience to the first instruction positioned him to receive the second. Stay alert in the season that feels small. God is still speaking in it. Third, do not despise the one. Philip left a crowd to sit with one person in a chariot. That one person carried the gospel to Ethiopia. Do not measure the assignment God gives you by how many people are watching. The one conversation, the one relationship, the one quiet act of obedience in an empty place may carry more weight in eternity than anything you have done in front of a crowd. And if you've been in a season where your faith feels tired, discouraged, or emotionally heavy, I also created a resource called Still Standing on His Promises to help you stay grounded in God's truth during difficult seasons. https://scripturepowerstory.gumroad.com/l/still-standing-on-his-promises. The desert road is not where God forgot about you. It is where He trusted you enough to send you alone. It is where the assignment is too specific, too personal, and too significant to be handled by a crowd. Go to the road, stay near the chariot, and trust that God already knows who is waiting there. If this message helped you, subscribe to Scripture Power Stories. We post new videos 3 times a week to help you grow in faith, find biblical truth, and keep walking with God through real-life struggles. Your story is not over. God is still working.